everyone, it's Rebecca from the Glitch Stitchery, and today I want to talk about something that I've been thinking about a lot lately. It's how to improve your skills as a fiber artist. Now, I'm assuming that if you're watching my channel, you probably have some interest in the fiber arts, at least a little bit, but that's basically anything that in some way involves yarn or the stuff used to make yarn. So, you know, weaving, crocheting, knitting, Tunisian crochet, felting, spinning yarns. There's a lot more. Those are just the ones that come to mind first. So I've been thinking about this a lot lately because I am currently trying to improve my skill set as much as possible and just sort of focus on educating myself a little bit more so that I can be better equipped to make these videos, so I at least sort of know what I'm talking about. So while thinking about this, I made a list of 5 ways to improve your skills, most of which are free. So we'll get on that. So starting from the top, the first way, and by far the easiest way, would be to read the blogs and watch the videos of talented people. Now I know that's a little self-serving. I don't consider myself a talented person. But there are a lot of people out there who are extremely talented and they give away their services completely for free online. So if you want to improve your skills, if you're just beginning, or even if you're intermediate or advanced, but there's some things you don't know how to do yet, watching people's videos or reading their blogs, or if they have a Ravelry, looking through their Ravelry stuff, that can help you a lot to just learn things that you don't know yet, techniques you haven't seen before, stitches you haven't seen before. In terms of spinning, maybe you'll find out about a breed you've never tried before, so that's a decent option. You can learn a lot that way. The next way would be the obvious. It's books and magazines. I don't consider those as useful as I used to, just because so much is online now. But I do still get crochet magazines in the mail, and I still buy books fairly often. And the point of buying them is less for the patterns, because I don't really use patterns, but more so that I can see how designers construct things. What techniques do they use to put the garment together? How is it stitched together? How do the pieces line up? How do they build garments? Because there's an endless number of ways to do that. Or how do they use color? What colors do they use together? How does the color work look? Does this color look good with this color? You can find a lot just from those pictures. And if you don't want a huge personal library, the public library is always an option. They usually have a okay selection, but most libraries will also allow you to bring in books from other libraries. And I think a lot of them have a digital library function as well, so you can put things on your tablet. So those are really good options. Now the third option, and one that I really like, is to join in along. There are spin-alongs, crochet-alongs, knit-alongs, weave-alongs. There's alongs for pretty much anything. And the idea is that you start with either a rough goal or an actual project that you're working towards, maybe with a pattern, and you work through it along with a whole big group of people. And working with all those people at the same time, working on the same goal, you can find out a lot from how other people approached the project. How did they choose their colors? How did they put it together? Did they use a different type of needle? If you're knitting, did they use circulars or did they use double-pointed needles? Or did they somehow make it in flat panels and attach it together? These are all really interesting ways of building things. And just seeing how other brains work through the same problem can give you a lot of information on how you yourself can improve. I am currently in a spin-along that I am honestly really anxious about, because it's for making more even, consistent singles, something I'm very terrible at. So I am looking forward to seeing how other people approach the problem and seeing if I can adapt some of their methods to myself. So beyond that, the next step would be to take classes. Now, not all classes are free, but a lot of them are. Right now, I am working through some modules from Woolmark. They have a whole online library of information on wool and wool processing and all this stuff about wool. And it seems to all be free to work through, so I'm working through those. They're not always free, but if you follow various designers and shops and such that you like on social media, sometimes they will refer you to classes via, emails and such that are starting up soon, and you might find one that you want. One of the spinning places I follow mentioned a breed study that was starting up that I'm kind of interested in, and then looking into that, I found a free course by the same person. So now I'm watching the free course every week while I decide if I want to take the breed study course that she offers or not. So just things like that. Like, it doesn't have to be a huge class, but you could definitely learn something. Or even if you don't learn something completely 100% new, maybe you'll find a new angle to approach the problem at, just a slight difference or some new detail, something along those lines. Now, the final way to, well, not final, there are so many ways to improve your skills, but the final one that I was thinking about today, or all week really, is challenging yourself. Because ultimately it's your hobby and it's self-led. So you are going to have to push yourself if you're going to increase your skills. Now, what I've been working on the past week is I have been looking at different crochet stitch patterns that I maybe haven't done before, or at the very least haven't done successfully. And I've been doing swatches. And I know you're thinking swatching is the worst thing ever, and sometimes it is. Swatching is terrible. But you don't have to make an actual swatch to learn a stitch. What you could do is find stitches you like and make a whole bunch of little finished objects and use those as your swatches. You can make a whole bunch of dishcloths, each in a different stitch pattern, and then you've learned a whole bunch of stitches. That goes for knitting, crocheting, Tunisian crochet, and honestly kind of weaving as well. Not so much with spinning, although technically speaking, trying out different breeds, aka doing a breed study, is basically swatching, and that is obviously a big part of what I do. So swatching doesn't have to be a little square. It can be a dishcloth, it can be a whole bunch of hats. You can make a whole series of hats, each with a new stitch pattern you've never done before, and then if you don't need that many hats, you can give them away as gifts or to charity. And you've learned a whole bunch that way. Now granted, you do use yarn this way, but most people do have a bit of yarn in their stash they don't necessarily have planned for anything. Maybe it's a whole bunch of acrylic someone gave you, or a whole bunch of cotton, or you bought a grab bag of yarn and you aren't totally thrilled with the colors. Most people have yarns that don't have a dedicated purpose, and you can use those to practice new skills and improve yourself. And I think that's about all I had planned to talk about today. But I mean, you saw some of the swatches in little beginning photos, and I've been posting them on Instagram as I work on them too. It's just something to think about. Everyone, no matter what level they're at in their hobby, can improve. And it's worth it to keep trying to improve. So I think that's about it. I'm gonna step off my soapbox now and get back to my day and drink my tea and work on some spinning. But I hope you all have a great week, and I'll see you on the weekend. Thank you.